Dun, 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 dun.
Hello.
There we are, live.
There we are live. So nice to meet all of you out there in both Facebook land and in LinkedIn. We are bringing you one of our purse strings approved professionals today, Paul Blair from sunny California, where he said it's going to be 70 degrees, not like Chicago where it's 15. So this is Barb Provo, founder of Purse Strings. As many of you know, Purse Strings provides free online tools and resources so that women have what they need to make smart financial decisions for themselves and for their families. And also those female entrepreneurs out there who are starting and launching new businesses and growing their businesses as well. So, what we also do is provide women top tier financial professionals who want to serve a female market, understand the female market, know that women are $23 trillion underserved market, ready and to come into the largest transference of wealth in history. So we're preparing women to take that onslaught of money and do what's right by them and their families, their communities. And we also provide top tier financial professionals like Paul Blair, who's joining us today. He's an Edward Jones professional, and he is going to bring us some topics that we're focusing on for February, which is Heart Month. We're going to focus on budgeting as a couple. So I will move it over to Maggie and let her take the intros from here. Welcome to Purse Strings.
Hey everybody, so excited to get started today. All our month of February, we are talking about money and marriage. And so we're kicking this off with a budget, budgeting as a couple. Today we have Paul Blair. And so Paul, just to get started, do you want to give a little introduction of yourself?
Sure. You make me nervous. No, my name is Paul Blair. I'm financial advisor with Edward Jones. Like she mentioned, I'm out here in Westlake Village, California. If you aren't too familiar with Los Angeles, is right outside of Los Angeles, pretty much right next to the famous where Calabasas, where all the celebrities live. But I've been at Edward Jones for roughly about 8 years. I won't go in and take a whole bunch of your time and go down that long road how I got here. But other than that, graduated from University of West Virginia in Charleston. And I have been doing this, like I said, roughly about 8 years, and I'm excited to help all of my clients out there.
Awesome. Well, you're already getting some love on the LinkedIn today from one of your clients I know. So that's great.
That's my biggest star right there.
Yeah, she's a great one. And then, it's also Paul's birthday. So we're just going to give him a little happy birthday shout out.
Thank you.
Of course. So diving into building a budget as a couple, let's just start. What do you think are the first steps newlyweds can do to kind of create a budget together?
Great question. I would definitely say having that conversation. A lot of newlyweds or just in general people, money is one of the most, I guess, say secretive or important things to an individual's life. But just having those conversations where you say, hey, what is important to you financially, and finding out from your spouse what's important to them financially. Because if you don't set that, what I call financial foundation, it's really hard to come up with goals to achieve as a couple, and then also not only as an individual. But definitely to get started was have that conversation with your spouse to come up with some goals. And then also after you have those goals written down or established, finding the perfect tool and budget sheet that works for both individuals would definitely be a great place to start.
And so what are some of these tools that you would recommend? Can you go into that? Would this be like a financial tool or just a piece of paper?
Great question. There's a lot of tools out there. To be honest, I use an old school budget sheet, so just like an Excel or a sheet of paper. But there's a lot of apps, a lot of great apps out there. One that I know that I've used in the past is called Truebill. I'm not necessarily shooting them an advertisement, but just a personal use. They'll keep track of everything. And if you aren't too, I guess you can say, worried, they're a very secure system, and you can attach your bank accounts and your credit cards and all of that stuff to the Truebill, and it'll keep track of your spending, where you're spending, if you're spending too much on, for example, going out on movies, going to cruise, discretionary items versus needs. And it'll also help you keep track if you want to link your spouses or your partners so you can keep track of each other's assets and what's going to where. But there's a lot of tools out there, but I'm kind of old fashioned. I like to use a good old budget sheet. And at this point in time, it's almost like systematic. We kind of know how that's going to go.
Yeah, that's great. I love to use the apps. I use Copilot because it's really great to categorize everything.
Another great one.
Yeah, I like how you can categorize, your groceries and your eating out and then, all your food together, things like that. But this is interesting how you can also see your partner's information as well. So you guys can really be on the same page.
Yeah. And one last thing, also Truebill, as you know, with budgeting, it's all about saving. The more you save, the better. They will also go through your statements and see what you're overpaying for. For example, if they see hey, your AT&T Wi-Fi bill is $200 according to your area and what you're used to paying, we can get you Spectrum for $100. Would you like us to call them, cancel, and then get you new Spectrum? And so then they'll charge you, I think it's like a $10 fee to do all of that work. But it's not just internet, it's cell phone bills, car insurance, all things. They look at that all the time and they'll give you notifications, say, hey, you can be saving money on this.
That's wild and definitely something I'll have to check out. Yeah, that's amazing. And so sometimes when we hear budgeting, people talk about this 50, 30, 20 rule. Could you kind of tell us what this is and do you use it yourself?
I do. I try my best. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a saint and perfect. And
of course.
But I definitely use this with my fiance. We try to live by this, I guess you could say. And that's saying 50% of your annual income every single year should be used on your needs, your living expenses, your mortgage, your bills, your groceries, your car note, et cetera, et cetera. 30% of that should be your wants. And then 20% of those should be going to your savings, either your checking, your savings account, or your 401ks, IRAs, individual investment accounts, to help you, I guess you say, achieve all your financial goals down the road. But if you stick to that 50, 30, 20, you should be well off financially and have a great roadmap to go forward with.
Awesome. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Kind of like if you look at your budget, half of it probably does go. I'm just trying to think about mine. Half of it probably goes to those needs. The next portion is kind of to the wants.
Yeah, obviously, sometimes there's things that spill over, like a 30th birthday or 50th birthday or things like that. And so it's just do it as best as you can, I guess you can say.
Of course. We got to celebrate life while we're living it.
Exactly.
And so, a lot of people, when you start, you're married now, all the money goes into one pot. And it's just one big account. What are your thoughts on this? Is this a good move? Should we always keep our accounts separate? What's kind of the best way to go about this?
Yeah, I mean, that's also one of the most difficult questions I guess you can ask or / answer. And that's because every couple is different. There's some people like that individualized approach, and then having a joint account just to pay bills, to have savings, to attack goals that are out there. Some people are, hey, let's just combine our money and we only have one bank account. There's no necessarily, I guess you can't say a right answer for that. It's mainly what's comfortable to each couple. And going forward, it's also, it makes things a little bit neater. I mean, for me, we both have individuals, and then we have a joint as well to help achieve all our goals and keep things straight, and bills and all of that stuff. And then also my money's her money. So it's like she has her own and then she has a joint and me. So, but
she's got it all.
Exactly. Happy wife, happy life. But at least that's what she likes to think. But yeah, there's like I mentioned, there's no right answer to that. But definitely whatever is comfortable. And as long as you have that conversation and make sure one and each other knows that you're comfortable with that, then this usually works out pretty well.
Awesome. Yeah. I can see both ways, depending how people work. I think I'd be a separate person, but that's just me. And have you ever, sometimes we like to have this conversation of like, what's that amount of money you can spend before asking your partner? Do you ever have those conversations or hear those conversations of, they might just buy, $50 item, don't have to ask, but $500 item, maybe then we talk about it, or a car worth of item, then, that's when we talk about it.
Exactly. That's usually how I would think it works. Like I said, for me, it doesn't necessarily work that way. I'll have, hey, what is this $300 purse purchase? That's like, I'm sorry, babe, but that's exactly how we did have those conversations to begin with. Hey, if we're using the joint credit card or the joint account, at least just mention it to each other so we're not overdrawn or overspending or not putting enough in the savings. But like I said, communication, as not just in the relationship in general, but especially financially, communication is everything. So yeah.
And so how do you kind of break into these conversations? Because I know, they're very touchy, sometimes very emotional. Do you have any tips to kind of breaking this conversation with your partner or your newlywed? For sure.
And I mean, it's as easy as opening the conversation with, hey, I really want to talk about our finances. I have some goals in mind that I want to achieve down the road. And obviously I want to achieve them with you. How do you feel about finances? The most important question that I asked my fiance is, what was her family's idea of money growing up?
That's a huge one.
Yeah. What was your idea of money? How was money handled? How did you view money? Did you have budgets when you were growing up as a kid? Not only as your parents had one, but did you have one? Did you get an allowance? Did you do any savings? So this general conversation opens those up, and then you can kind of attack the deeper, the bigger problems or roots that you want to attack. But like I said, communication is definitely key when it comes to those type of things. But then always you can also, for example, set an appointment with someone like me or a financial advisor in your area and say, hey, we have these goals. We don't really know how to open these conversations or how to attack it. Can you help us? Can you lead us down the right path? Show us where we can get started. I do those type of appointments and conversations all the time, all day long.
Awesome. Well, there's 2 points I kind of want to touch on there. First is I love how it's kind of like you have to understand their viewpoint of money, where they're coming from, and kind of what their perspective is. Because you might think, it's always had this abundance mentality where they always had very scarcity spending. And so it's one of those things that it's just better to understand them. It's no judgment, but that's definitely a way to get on the same page, which
exactly, because
sometimes people don't know their own money stories. And that's coming to light.
There's a lot of people out there, like you mentioned, like I think you're getting to, like, don't even, when they're growing up as a kid, they knew their parents had a ton of money and they had access to a debit card or credit card. They didn't even check the balance. They just knew it was there. So it's definitely, if you grew up that way, then, hey, I didn't, we need to come find a middle ground. This is how we can achieve that.
Definitely. Having two opposites there, I can see being very, very dangerous.
Exactly.
But it's also what, a financial professional can kind of do in this arena as well. Is kind of help, we came up with these goals, help make them realistic. And, whether that is, investing together, bringing those accounts together, or investing separately. What are some of the ways or, things that you can help couples with? What are some of the services that you can provide?
Yeah, I definitely can go through that comprehensive conversation of how are we going to budget? What type of goals do we want to attack? How can we attack them? What do we need to put in every single month to get that $30,000 down for a house that we want to buy in 10 years? Or we want to actually retire at 55 instead of 65. How do we do that? So those type of conversations I have all the time with clients, and that doesn't cost anyone anything. Those are all complimentary. But definitely also finding out the avenues and investment vehicles that work best to help you achieve your goals. For example, as we all know, the savings account at the bank isn't that great. So we get 0.056. And right now with inflation being 5%, we're technically losing 5% of our money every year if it's just sitting there not earning anything. So obviously risk tolerance comes in mind when it comes to that. How much risk do we want to take to earn a good amount of money? But there's also lower risk items such as a money market fund that achieves a little bit higher than the bank, but is pretty fairly safe and doesn't really fluctuate in value at all. But it's definitely having those conversations and making sure that you have a strategic plan. And as always, with budgeting and savings and investments, the D word, discipline, is everything. As long as you have good discipline, you usually can make things work.
You say that like it's such an easy feat.
Yeah, it is. It's mainly, it's just a mindset, I guess you could say, as you know. I mean, everybody kind of knows the definition of discipline, but it definitely can be hard to understand, like, hey, I really want to buy that 80-inch TV, look great in the living room. Should I put it on the credit card and pay it off, or should I just, hey, make a goal, set $100 aside every paycheck for the next 8 weeks, and then, hey, I'll buy it and not necessarily pay those interest rates at 30%, 24% on a credit card.
Right. And part of that is just kind of understanding how all of that works, and realizing like, wow, that interest on my credit card is not just a couple dollars, but really an extra 100 on top of this TV. Do I really want to pay that? Like, is my patience worth that $100?
Exactly.
Which it's always, interesting, but yeah, so you can really help people set up their financial plan, help them reach their goals. And like you said, the financial plan is complementary. But then, yeah, the different ways that they want to invest, which also kind of has to do with your money mindset. How risky are you? Which is, I know, some people take a questionnaire. Some people just do it by conversation to kind of get your risk tolerance to know what the best investment for you is. Do you have any other parting tips or advice that you want to give today to any new couples trying to bring together their money and marriage?
Yeah, actually, I could think of one right now at the top of my head, and that's something that I help a lot of individuals out with on a daily basis out here, is don't be afraid or scared to seek help. In my field, in my opinion, experience, a lot of people say, well, I don't have $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 just laying around to go see a financial advisor with. Nobody's going to talk to me. I don't have enough money. And that's not true. You can find a lot of high quality financial advisors that you can have $1,000 in your savings. And if you truly want help, you truly want to build wealth, you truly want to work and see how this, I guess you can not necessarily game, but this, discipline works. I can help you out, and I can do that at a high quality level, and treat you just like you were $100 million client. I treat all my clients the same, and that's definitely a tip. I was like, don't be afraid to reach out for help. And there's a lot of good financial advisors out there that will definitely work with clients that are starting up and want to achieve all their goals.
Yeah, that's a great tip to have, because you don't need all this money to get started. You just do need a little bit. And the best part is your whole goal is to get them more money and have them earn more money. So you guys really share that same goal. So, it's all driven towards success.
I was running a market analysis the other day just for fun. And I was just seeing that if you put $100, or if it was $200, you put $200 in your account from your 18 years old to 28 years old, and you just put it in a basic balance fund during that period of time, and at 28, you never put another penny in. At 67, when you retired, as long as you didn't touch the dollars during that time, you had a little over $1 million sitting in your account. So it does not take a lot of money to make a lot of money. You just have to be disciplined and have that approach. And I love showing people that, because they're like, I can do this. That's not a problem.
Yeah, and that's the best gift you can give yourself from like your 20-year-old self. Probably didn't make the best decisions then, but I did make $1 million for myself, so no big deal. Awesome. I think you've given a ton of great information today, and a great starting point for anyone who's starting this venture together. What's the best way for people to contact you or to reach out to you if they have more questions or interested in a financial plan?
Perfect. As I assume, on the amazing Purse Strings website, you can find me there. Also at the bottom, it's just paul.blair@edwardjones.com. If you have any questions whatsoever, if you want to schedule a Zoom appointment, an in-person appointment, if you're out here, I have no problem doing that at all. Like I said, you don't have to worry about cost. The only time you ever pay anything with me is when you actually buy investments. So just my time or an appointment, or, hey, Paul, I want to see the tools that you have to offer, or I want to go through some planning, I would have no problem helping anyone out with that. Or you can reach out to my office at 805-418-7161. And my branch office administrator, my partner, Carolina, will get an appointment set up and we can help you any way we can.
Awesome. Yep. Reach out to Paul. He's great. He can help you guys outside of California as well. And so give him a call if you have any questions. And we will be here all month talking about marriage and money. So we'll see you again next week at noon. So with that, Paul, happy birthday. We'll let you,
Thank you. I appreciate
get on
it.
with the celebration.
Appreciate it. I'm going to go try to get a nice brunch in Malibu on the beach. I don't mean to make you jealous, but.
Okay, that's not what I'm going to be doing, but all right. We'll talk to everyone later. Bye.
Bye.